Hey guys, how's it going? Glaurung here, and today I'm going to be going over with you guys a match from MLG Titan Arena 3. We were playing in the grand finals versus Cloud9 Maelstrom, and in this particular match we initially fell extremely far behind, and the major points I want to go over with you guys is how we managed to come back, the right decisions we made, and what we may have been able to do slightly better. So like going into this match, as you can see, it's level 20 to level 20. As far as XP goes, we're about even, but they definitely have more map pressure than us right now. Top keep's a big deal, and they're up 2 tributes. So looking at our vision right now, the enemy team's win condition here, because our core is at 61%, is they just have to secure their boss, and that will almost certainly win the game. So that's their win condition, and that's what we need to be most worried about. Conversely, for us to win the game, we need to heavily win a fight, and to do that, we wanted to make sure that we had vision of their boss. So you can see the rotations being made by me and Soldier initially to check out their boss, because right now we're prioritizing fighting, and it just so happens that as we start up this match, we end up just leaving ETC top because we do see Cloud9 in the mid lane. What this allows us to do is position properly around this boss, because this boss, it doesn't really matter if Cloud9 manages to capture this boss. We just want to try and assure us the most favorable fight possible. So what we do is ETC has stage dive. We already have siege giants up top, and what my job here is I'm going to put as much pressure on top as possible while we dance around the bottom boss. So going into this, that's what we do. We have to be a little bit careful because they do have a lot of hard lockdown with Tyrael and Tyrande and Uther. You just got to be pretty cautious, and right now we don't have too much sight of them, but we are getting some pressure on top lane. I go here just to verify for certain that they're not on our boss, so I get sight of that. And while we're getting pressure on top, we see that they're starting this boss because of this scouting drone position right here. It's almost impossible for the enemy team to position in a spot where they can kill this scouting drone, and the scouting drone, what's important for us is it sees the HP of the boss. In this situation, if they were to finish boss, we would be able to react in time, and once this boss is low enough HP, I'd be able to stage dive in. So right now, we know exactly what they're doing, and we're preparing for it as best we can, and I'm putting on pressure in the top lane. Uther is aggressively zoning out our damages, and as soon as I see the root hit on K1 Pro, I decide to stage dive in. And I actually should have been slightly more patient on this, and we actually make a pretty big mistake here. If we look at what happened, what I wanted to do initially is have Brightwing port start as soon as stage dive starts as well, so both of us, using both of our globals, get into the boss pit at the same time, but we actually... there was a mechanical failure. We just didn't do it properly, and that sets us at a disadvantage, because going into this fight, if ETC and Brightwing had both been here, it actually could have been a pretty good fight for us, but because the timing was wrong for us, we end up just having to take this fight 4v5. Cloud9 rightfully expected us to do that properly, so they don't see that it's a 4v5, so they end up just keeping boss aggroed and not committing to the fight 100% while we're waiting for Brightwing to get to us. Now this tribute's spawning, and this is a curse for Cloud9, and we have to make sure that we try to get the best fight as possible. So they look for this curse right now, and what we're trying to do is not necessarily capture the boss, because it's more important for us to win a fight. Right now, because we're cursed, there's a lot of pressure in the mid lane, and we're probably going to lose this keep, but we're okay with that, because having that keep up isn't part of our win condition. We're just trying to put a super high emphasis on fighting, winning the fight, and then proceed to win the game afterwards. So right now, we see that K1 Pro is split. We capitalize on that. Jaina blinks and roots K1 Pro instantly. That was a good cleanse by Dreadnought as well. And now it's a 4 versus 5. What we could have done here is potentially defended our base, but getting that pick basically allowed us to stay in this game. We end up chasing a little too far. mostly just a miscommunication more than anything else. But right now, Cloud9's main damage follower is dead, and it's kind of hard for them to contest this boss. Now that the boss is low, we want to ensure that we have control of the point, and you'll see Brightwing make her way down here in a second. Arthlon's trying to split their team as best as possible, and we get on point before they can, and we end up securing a kill on our new Brock. But while this is happening, they end up killing Arthlon as well, and because of how much pressure they have on the map, they end up securing mid keep. So like, even though we won that fight and got the boss at 21 minutes won't win the game by itself unless we push with it. But we can't push with it in this situation too because we have 2 people dead. It's just really important for us to defend the base. And at this point in the game, with bottom boss having been taken and the enemy team respawning to defend this boss, we realize that this boss won't win the game for us. And now there's just 1 win condition for each team. Cloud9 has to get this boss, and that will win the game for them, like no matter what. And we have to win a team fight. So right now we're just waiting for everyone to spawn, but it's super important we get that information to see whether or not they're on this boss. But we know that we have a boss pressuring core. So because this boss is pressuring core, they have to defend it, but it allows us to pressure out waves and start their boss immediately. We stage dive just so we can start the boss as fast as possible because we do see that 4 people are down here. And while we start this boss, we have to wait for Jaina to get to us while Sylvanas is dead. This is like a super intense part of the match. Cloud9's just coming around, and they're able to contest boss here. And like, we don't really care about capturing this boss because that'll do nothing for us. At most, it would give us a fort. So we just need to put a high emphasis on approaching this team fight properly. We let the boss lead, and now we have to wait for Sylvanas to get here. They end up using Judgment to try and secure this pick, but I end up bolting just in time. And K1 Pro bolts the Jaina combo as well. Once it gets to this late in the game, you have to be watching out for everything. And now in this team fight right here, things get really spread out, and that's really good for us too. Like, the more spread out these fights are, the better, just because their team composition has like a theme to it, and their theme is lock down one person, use all your CC and blow that person up. So the more spread out we are, the better it is for us. We end up getting a kill on Uther, but that's sort of irrelevant because he has the level 20 resurgence. And Arthlon comes back over here. He has good positioning and ends up finishing off a new Brock. So right now, we've only killed 1 person, and it's important for us to win this fight and try and make it out. Reset almost because of how much pressure we have on our base. So right now, Dreadnought's running, and this is still just like a battle. King Caffeine goes down here, and right now it's important we defend our base. The Vikings are going to spawn soon. Arthlon and I decide we can take this fight, and Brightwing comes back in. And we go on Dunk Train here. This is actually a little bit poor focus on our part. We could have potentially isolated 1 target, but we end up making a little bit of a split decision, and Tyrande is able to survive. But right now, ETC's stage dive is coming up. We have Vikings defending catapults on our core right now, and that's what we have to do. We have to make sure they do not get this boss while we defend our base. So now that we have a global presence in our base, the Vikings are now safe to move out towards the boss, and we decide to aggro the boss. The enemy team knows this and starts to like contest. But our base is completely safe as long as we have at least one of our globals defending. We end up leashing the boss here a few times too many, and it ends up resetting. And that was preventable, but basically now we have to focus on the fight. So iDream gets a little bit isolated, and we try to burn him down. The silence from Arthlon was actually key there to make sure the Hardened Shield couldn't go off, and that pick secures us a victory in this team fight. So right now, our biggest priority is to finish this, get as many kills as possible, because that's our win condition. It's how. So Soldier ends up getting a pick on Vala, and that basically like wins the game for us. We almost killed Dunk Train here, but it wasn't quite enough. And right now, we have like catapults pressuring our core. we're on a time limit right now, and we kind of have to make a risky play because we're so far behind in this game to win. So we try for the pick on Dunk Train. If we had killed Dunk Train, it would have ensured like the victory, but he ends up getting out, and we just break this small wall and try and essentially like race. We see Tyrael is in our base, and that like gives us hope, because if Tyrael was at his core, they potentially could have defended, but in almost every situation, as long as we play it properly, we should be winning this base race. And like this was probably the most intense match like we played in Titan Arena, and it ended up like coming down to the wire, 21% to 5% on each core. But like I was really proud of my team for being able to execute this ending properly, like making sure they do not get their boss while ensuring we like win the team fights is like super important. And I just figured I'd make a quick video about it. Thought it was cool, and I'll see you guys next time.